Greetings, philosophers. Welcome back to the Philosophy Zone, where we dive into the wild, wonderful world of big ideas with a touch of passion and a lot of clarity. We're now on episode 3 of our 5-part series, exploring Friedrich Nietzsche's Homer and Classical Philology, the groundbreaking lecture he delivered in 1869 as a young professor in Basel. What we've uncovered here is like a golden thread that we can trace through the rest of his writings. Last time, we tackled the Homeric question, Nietzsche's take on the scholarly obsession with who Homer was, and his plea to focus on the cultural magic of the Iliad and Odyssey. Today, we're going deeper into Nietzsche's vision for a new kind of philology, one that doesn't just dust off ancient texts, but uses them to spark life in the modern world. So, let's jump in and see what this 24-year-old firebrand has in store. Imagine you're in Nietzsche's shoes, standing before a room of buttoned-up academics in 1869. You're young, brilliant, and already itching to break the mould. Philology, the study of ancient texts, is the pride of German universities, but to you, it's starting to feel like a museum. Scholars are busy analysing every comma in Homer's epics, arguing over who wrote what, when. But Nietzsche's not here for that. He's got a bigger dream. He wants philology to be a bridge between the ancient world and the present, a way to make the past sing again. This lecture, Homer and Classical Philology, is his manifesto for turning a dry academic field into something alive, something that can shake up culture itself. Let's set the stage. Nietzsche loves the ancient Greeks. He's fascinated with their energy, their art, their myths. To him, the Greeks weren't just a civilization. They were a high point of human creativity, a people who turned life's chaos into stories and sculptures that still take our breath away. And Homer, the poet or poets behind the Iliad and Odyssey, is the poster child for this. Nietzsche sees these epics as more than old poems. They're the heartbeat of Greek culture, stories that gave the Greeks a sense of who they were. Think of it like a nation's anthem or a blockbuster movie that defines a generation. Homer's epics were that for ancient Greece. But here's the problem as Nietzsche sees it. Philology, the field meant to study these treasures, is getting it wrong. Too many scholars are treating Homer's works like fossils, picking them apart to find historical truths while ignoring their power to inspire. Nietzsche's got a great line. Well, I'm paraphrasing, but it's something like, we must serve the past, not as slaves, but as its rejuvenators. He's saying, philology shouldn't just catalogue the past, it should bring it to life, make it matter to us now. It's like the difference between studying a painting by Caravaggio to count its brushstrokes versus letting its drama and light hit you in the gut. So, what's Nietzsche's big idea? He wants philology to be a cultural mission. He thinks studying the Greeks, especially Homer, shouldn't just be about getting the facts right. It's about understanding why their culture was so vibrant and using that to inspire our own. In 1869, Germany's going through a whirlwind, industrialization, unification, all the growing pains of a modern nation. Nietzsche looks around and sees a world that's efficient but soulless, full of factories but short on meaning. He thinks the Greeks, through Homer, can teach us something about living boldly, creatively, with a sense of purpose. This is where Nietzsche starts to sound like the philosopher we know from his later works. He's not just talking about ancient manuscripts, he's talking about culture, about how we find meaning in a world that can feel fragmented. He mocks philologists who act like frigid antiquarians, the kind of scholars who'd rather argue over a misspelled Greek word than ask what Homer's stories say about the human spirit. Nietzsche's ideal philologist is more like a poet or a prophet, someone who can take the past and make it sing for the present. Let's linger on Homer for a moment, because he's central to Nietzsche's argument. To Nietzsche, Homer isn't just a name or a question mark in a scholarly debate. He's a symbol of what humans can do when they're at their best. The Iliad and Odyssey aren't just stories about wars and wanderings. They're about heroism, struggle, the clash of gods and mortals. They gave the Greeks a shared identity, a way to see themselves as part of something bigger. Nietzsche wants philologists to study Homer, not to pin him down, but to tap into that energy, to ask, how can we create something that powerful today? This idea feels personal for Nietzsche. He's not just critiquing his colleagues, he's grappling with his own role as a scholar. At 24, he's already restless, feeling the limits of academic life. You can almost hear him thinking, is this it? Am I just going to spend my life editing manuscripts? This lecture is his way of pushing back, of saying there's more to philology than footnotes. It's a hint of the Nietzsche who'll soon write The Birth of Tragedy, where he argues that art and myth are what keep us human in a world that can feel empty. Nietzsche's call for a new philology isn't just about ancient Greece. It's about how we engage with any kind of history or art. Think about how we teach literature or history now. Sometimes it's all about memorizing dates or analyzing text to death. Nietzsche's saying, don't just dissect the past, let it inspire you. It's like when you visit an old cathedral or listen to a piece of music from centuries ago. Sure, you can study its architecture or its chord structure, but what really matters is how it makes you feel, how it connects you to something bigger. This vision of Nietzsche's is radical for his time. Most philologists in 1869 saw their job as scientific, almost like chemists analysing compounds. Nietzsche's saying, fine, but don't stop there. Be a cultural critic, a storyteller, someone who uses the past to light a fire under the present. It's a tall order, and you can imagine his audience, some nodding, some squirming, wondering what to make of this young upstart. He's not throwing out philology, he's trying to save it, to make it matter in a world that's changing fast. As we wrap up, let's sit with Nietzsche's challenge. What would it look like to study the past the way he wants? Not just to know it, but to let it transform us. Next episode, we'll dive into Nietzsche's obsession with myth, how he sees Homer as a myth maker, and why that matters for a technological world starving for meaning. If you're enjoying this ride through Nietzsche's mind, give us a like, subscribe, and join us for episode 4. This is the Philosophy Zone, where ideas come alive and the past speaks to the present. See you next time.